Hey, how's it going, guys? I imagine you clicked on this video to see how Protection Paladins are doing in pre-patch. I was also curious as I play a Protection Paladin myself, and I was going through Warcraft logs this morning, and this is what I found. Protection Paladins are sweeping all of the logs, being one of the better specs, and especially for damage. Let's see why. Alright guys, how's it going? The three main things that I want to talk about here for Protection Paladin, because it is becoming a fairly difficult class to play. It is one of the stronger tanks currently, as we saw from the Warcraft logs, but there is a lot for you to pay attention to. So Holy Power is reintroduced back into the game. You need to manage your Holy Power, you need to manage what you're doing with it. You need to make sure that you're not overcapping. General rotation, build Holy Power, spend it on Shield of the Righteous. Fairly easy, but there's also this ability called Shining Light, where every 5 Shield of the Righteous, your next Word of Glory becomes free. Now, I have a weak aura that I use to track it, but it's something else that you need to pay attention to, because if you're at 4 stacks of Shield of the Righteous, your health is going low, and you end up with 3 Holy Power, you need to make a decision at that time, Shield of the Righteous and do the free Wog. But if you end up using Wog first and not the Shield of the Righteous, then you don't have your Shield of the Righteous uptime, and it kind of becomes a waste of the Holy Power. So it is something else that you need to pay attention to. And finally, the last thing are these 3 sweet auras, which you used to have in Classic. I think TBC and Wrath as well. So Crusader Aura increases your mounted speed, Devotion Aura decreases the damage you take by 3%, and Retribution Aura gives you wings for 8 seconds whenever a party member within 40 yards dies. So I'm just going to talk about the talents that I would particularly use. If you want to look at something else, you may look at the other talents. First row, Holy Shield, Blessed Hammer are kind of the two go-to right now. Blessed Hammer is going to do more damage, especially in Mythic Plus when compared to Holy Shield. I like Holy Shield for the magic mitigation. For 25, First Avenger and Crusader's Judgment. Crusader's Judgment gives you a little bit more ability and more freedom for generating Holy Power, but I like First Avenger for right now, especially for Mythic Plus, where you're dealing with 4 or 5 different mobs. It gives you an Absorb Shield for 100% of damage. For row 30, take whatever you feel comfortable with. People are constantly fighting over what you should take. Take what you feel comfortable with. It really doesn't matter. I carry tomes with me for changing as well. Row 35, I like Blessing of Spell Warding. It's super powerful, and it's not really something that a lot of other people have to completely immune themselves from spell damage. So I take it and I use it. Divine Purpose and Holy Avenger are kind of the two right now that people are playing with the most. If you have 3 Lights Decree, you're going to want to take this Holy Avenger for more Avenging Wrath uptime. If you don't, then Divine Purpose is fairly decent for just swapping out the Holy Power and kind of playing around with it. For row 45, I always take Consecrated Ground. I find even when I use Judgment of Light, which heals people when they attack them, I miss the Consecrated Ground. The slow is just so powerful, and having that much bigger consecration is a lot more fun. However, Judgment of Light, especially paired with Crusader's Judgment, can be fairly nice, especially in a raid setting when you've got a bunch of people attacking the boss. Down here at the bottom, Sanctified Wrath lasts 25% longer and causes your Judgment to generate 1 extra Holy Power, which if you have that, when you run at the boss, you pop wings, you use your shield, you judge, you'll have 3, you'll be able to have Shield of the Righteous up right away, right at the beginning of the fight. Righteous Protector, if you have the 3 Lights Decree, you're going to want to take Righteous Protector. You'll be able to have more wings uptime. We'll kind of talk about that build a little bit later. And when it comes to stats, you're going to want to take eye level over everything, because the strength and stamina is going to be way more beneficial than trying to stack for a particular skill. Haste over Verse and Mastery, and then Crit is going to be the bottom. Haste, obviously, for the uptime and Shield of the Righteous, but after about 30%, you can start kind of dipping into Verse and Mastery. Now, there's a huge debate out there about what's better, Verse or Mastery, so I'm just going to break it down for you. You can make the decision. There's always this conversation about what's viable and what's not viable. They're both viable. They're both fairly good. Verse is going to give you an increase in your percent damage done, and it's going to give you a percent decrease in damage reduction at all times. Now, Mastery is going to increase your attack power, which ultimately will increase your damage, and Mastery is going to decrease the damage that you take, but only while you are in Consecrate. I would recommend using Versatility because it is more consistent and it is something that will always be up, but obviously it's your choice, and when we talk about what's viable, it really doesn't matter. Alright guys, let's see if we can't throw all of that together. So you see me here kind of messing around. with the talents, you're going to want to kind of jump into Holy Avenger and Righteous Protector if you've got the 3 Lights Decree. Righteous Protector is going to help with the uptime of Avenging Wrath. It's going to decrease the cooldown on it every time you use Shield of the Righteous. So what you're going to do is you're also going to switch out your essences. So VOP is going to go to your minor, memory is going to go to your major. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to give you 2 cooldowns you compare with Avenging Wrath that increases your Holy Power generation. So, Holy Avenger increases it by 300%, and the memory increases it by 100%. So virtually, you're going to be able to constantly spam Shield of the Righteous. Now, the reason you pair that with Avenging Wrath is if you have the 3 Lights Decree, it's going to be able, you're going to explode with that Holy Power, right? And that's going to drastically increase your DPS. Now here in about a second you're going to see me peak at about 3k, which for a tank is fairly decent damage. So just make sure that you're paying attention to that, you're rotating these out. In about 30 seconds the uptime on Avenging Wrath is going to come up, and we're going to be able to pair it with Holy Avenger, and we're going to be able to do the same thing when we're pretty much just spamming that Shield of the Righteous and we're exploding with that Holy Power, right? Now if you don't have 3 Lights Decree, it's okay, try to get at least 1 in there, and you can just use kind of the classic build where you use Crucible Flame as your major, Nullification Dynamo, Conflict and Strife, and Formless Void as your minors. Now if you don't have Conflict and Strife, you can kind of throw something in there like Shield of the Warden. I would stray away from something like Anima, just for the health, unless it's Skittish Weak and you kind of need that AoE taunt. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around. Obviously a lot of this information is going to be changing throughout the pre-patch and eventually once Shadowlands comes out. If you like what you see, give it a subscribe, click the bell. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment. I'll leave my battle tag name and my Discord name on the bottom. The other thing I'd recommend you do is go over to the Wowhead. I'll put a link in the description as well. Look at Lincoln's guide. It's very similar to what I've just said today. It's constantly updating it, but I would also check out the Paladin Discord, Hammer of Wrath. They're constantly talking about changes that are coming up, and they're also talking about the Shadowlands beta, so you can kind of be prepared for that. Appreciate you guys for sticking around.